Hey folks, my name's Jack, welcome to Peach Guitars. Today is a good day because it's new amplifier day. I get to make the kind of video that I probably enjoy making the most, which is just plugging into a new amp for the first time and seeing what it has to offer. And I gather that from previous videos that we've done in this style, you quite enjoy that as well. So thank you for joining on another one. We're going to take a look at a new offering from BadCat, which is no secret that it's one of my favourite amplifier brands out there at the moment. I think they just keep knocking it out the park with new amp designs, and not only new amp designs but also slight tweaks to existing designs, namely stuff from their Player Series amplifiers. What they did recently was they introduced this mod shop edition which to certain amplifier models. So it started with the BadCat 30, which actually featured in a couple of different videos of ours in the past, and essentially they're taking models from the Player Series, which is the Cub, the BadCat, the Hotcat, and the Lynx. So they started with that BadCat model, and the mod shop aims to reimagine that design slightly, while still keeping to the spirit of the way the amp functions and the way it was designed, its kind of tonal ethos, if you like. But what could we do with slight circuit changes, slight tweaks to the tone stack, that kind of thing? And the BadCat 30 was a real peach. It really sounded fantastic. It opened that amplifier up. It was already a great sounding amp, the Player Series edition, but the mod shop did exactly what they set out to do, in my estimation anyway. It opened the sound of the amp up, made it a little bit more uncompressed, a little bit more dynamic, all of that good stuff. So when I heard that the mod shop edition was going to extend its way to the Hotcat, which is one of my favourites of the Player Series from BadCat amplifiers, I was quite excited about that. So that's exactly what we're going to take a look at today, and I have not played a note on this amp yet. I wanted to bring you along for the journey, really just plugging in for the first time and seeing how it sounds, seeing what we can get out of it. So let me quickly run you through the surface of the amp and the controls and what it does, and then we're going to see if I can take that understanding and apply it to getting some great tones. So the Hotcat is probably the most expansive of the BadCat range in the sense that it has the most variety on offer. And the goal with the mod shop edition is to keep that in place, those kind of 4 distinct sounds that the amp has foot switchable at any one time, but make it a little bit more dynamic. Again, open up the mid-range, give it a little bit more breadth and life and clarity. So you have 2 channels. We've got channel 1, channel 2, controlled by 2 gain controls over here, 2 volume controls over here. Each of those 2 channels has a low and a high gain mode. So essentially it's like an integrated boost for each of those 2 sounds. Shared 3-band EQ, global presence, global reverb, which sounds really good. At least it does on the existing Hotcat and rest of the BadCat lineup. I think their reverbs sound really, really nice. And hopefully it's going to carry along into this one. And then global master volume for all of those sounds. So I've got an exotic XSC2 guitar, kind of a staple for us in demos, where it's just an HSS configuration S-style guitar. Really probably the most utility-based instrument that I could demonstrate this amp to you with, because I can kind of cover almost any sound with an instrument like this. And a lot of players that gravitate to amplifiers like this will probably be playing guitars in this kind of vein, where it gives you a lot of different options. This is an options amp, but hopefully not at the expense of it being too complex to figure out. So let's put that to the test. I'm going to start on channel 1 and the low mode, which is the cleanest sound the amp has. I've got literally nothing dialed up, as you can tell, so we're going to just start twiddling controls and seeing what kind of sounds we can get. Pretty strong start, I reckon. So that was just the cleanest sound, as I mentioned before. So I've dialed up the gain to about halfway. Each of the EQ settings about the same. I noticed though that the mid control is really powerful on this amp, and I've played the Player Series edition of this amp in the past and noted that it's got a really strong tonal foundation for pedals, as well as having great gain sounds in the amp itself. One of the things I like the most about any of the BadCat amps is how well they take gain pedals, compressors and all that kind of thing. And that there, with everything almost at 12 o'clock, is exactly that. It's that perfect foundation on which to start stacking gain staging. Even on the clean sound alone, it's got a lot of life to it. It's got a real nice kind of presence and bounce. And the main thing I look for in an amp when I'm kind of trying to dial in this clean sound to start with, is it needs to have a lot of clarity. If you're having to fight for treble and cut in the first place, the amp's not really going to deliver on the kind of dynamic response that I would like to get from it, and I'm sure a lot of players feel the same. And straight away, everything about 12 o'clock, it's got that kind of life to it. Really pretty nice sounding reverb too, as I mentioned. If I notch that up a little bit more, it's definitely not like a spring sound, it's more of a smooth plate, almost like a studio kind of sounding reverb in my estimation. The thing I like about their reverbs usually as well, and it applies on this amp too, is that you can have quite a lot of it and it doesn't really get in the way, it just complements the sound. It's like it's been added on post, if you like. But I'll keep that in check just for now. But there's an example of what the reverb does. So, building off of that clean sound, one thing I want to do before we get onto the other modes is just explore how powerful the EQ can be, particularly that mid-range control, because I did notice it's quite effective. So if I scoop it out and push the bass and the treble a bit, we're going to get more of that American Fender Twin style of clean. There's a lot of depth to that. I personally, though, like to push the mid, dip the treble a bit, and lose some of the bass, and then you start to get into more of a British clean kind of territory. And that, for me anyway, just feels a little bit more dynamic and what I'm used to. Let's see how it delivers on that. So again, it's like it's just coming alive a little bit more. It's a really powerful control, that mid-range control alone. And I'm still in the channel 1 low gain mode. What I'm going to do now is just step on the foot switch to switch over to the high gain mode of channel 1. Now, you may have seen, we did a video before on the Ocelot amplifier, which was their little kind of lunchbox 20 watt style amp, and it was built on a similar foundation to this in that it had those 4 foot switchable sounds, the channel 1 with the low and the high, channel 2 with the low and the high, and so on. This amp kind of behaves and sounds a little bit so far just like an expanded, kind of grown-up version of that amp. It's like it's got a little bit more muscle and takes away some of the compression. That's just the nature of having a 50 watt versus a 20 watt amp, but I like the way it operates so far. It's the same kind of thing, and I loved with that amp when I went to the high gain mode on this channel 1. So in theory, this should be the same kind of experience. Let's find out. I'll start with the low and then I'll switch to the high. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. So the thing I like the most about this, the response is dead on. And the thing that's really important with an amp like this, where it has all these different options covered, is that sometimes it can start to lose its identity. It can start to lose whatever the brand that makes the amplifier is, the thing that makes that brand so unique and the reason you might choose an amp from them in the first place. Some amps that cover too much ground don't have that identity anymore, but as soon as I go to that high gain sound, it sounds like a BadCat. It still has plenty more room to go on the gain range, and that clean, as you heard before on the lower mode, was still very versatile and can be shaped in a number of ways, but that right there sounds like a BadCat. It's got that chimey top-end articulation, it's very dynamic, responsive to everything I'm doing on the guitar, and the EQ is still very powerful, so to have that mid-range control once again working to either take a lot of the mids out, as I did at the start, and it's got that more American thing, but it lives and breathes for me above 12 o'clock or so on this mid control. That's super important and works with the gain control really kind of in a very connected fashion. So let me explore a little bit more on this channel before we get to channel 2. I kind of like it probably a little bit lower, because this is where it's going to sound the most like a classic AC type amp in this high mode. At least that's the kind of sound I would gravitate to. And I don't have any drive pedals plugged in right now, but you can imagine that you put a tube screamer or a clon or something in front of that, it's got that very old school valve amp feel where it just expands, and again it just eats up whatever you put into the front end of this amp. I'm a big fan of that sound, and I think it does it very, very well, and compared to the regular Player Series edition of this amp, which does that sound as well, this does deliver on the promise of just being a little bit more open, a bit more muscular in the mid-range. It's actually, I didn't mention before, but it's a slightly upscaled power section in this as well. You've got a full 50 watts as opposed to 40 or 45, I think the Player Series is. So just a little bit more muscle. I'm not really cranking the master that much. It's loud, but it's not unpleasantly so. It's still very controllable, and you've got a lot of level control between the two volumes and the gain and balancing it with the master. So that's channel 1. Let's move on to channel 2, and this should, in theory, pick up where that leaves off. So yeah, I'll keep the gain about the same, about 10 or 11 o'clock. Volume about the same as well. I'll go from that channel 1 high to channel 2 low. And let's just see what the jump is like. It's actually quite a nice linear progression. So again, what I mentioned before about sometimes amps that have this level of options to them, you'll find it jumps really drastically from one character to another, and that just doesn't work for me, and I'm sure there are other players out there that feel the same way, where you don't necessarily want that dual personality in an amp all the time. You just want something that's cohesive and feels linear, as in as if you were just using gain pedals into a clean amp. That's kind of the old school way of doing it, but BadCat have managed to do it where they give you that continuation in just going progressively from clean to breakup to a higher gain sound there. That's not a huge amount of gain, it is for me, but I'm sure compared to other amps and compared to the Lynx, for example, their higher gain amp from the Player series, it's not high gain, but it's enough gain to instill you with confidence when you're playing leads and stuff like that. There is a lot more on tap as well, as you can see from the gain control, and there's the foot switchable high gain boost as well. So I'm going to play a little bit more, might up it just a little bit. I love the tone of it though. It's not overtly mid-rangey, it's not overtly bright. Again, I love that there is treble in reserve. That's such a rare thing on guitar amps these days. But I feel there's more in there, so I'm going to show you now what the high gain on channel 2 does. In theory, it should be the same as channel 1, where it just adds that nice little extra step, while still feeling like it's playing through the same amplifier. Again, you know what, it sounds like a BadCat, and to illustrate that point, on this higher gain sound, listen to the kind of chirp on the front of the note when I'm playing on the neck pickup. Not many other amps do this, but it's unique to BadCat and I love it, and it's there even in the highest gain mode. Does all the right things as far as I'm concerned in terms of having an amplifier that goes from clean through the breakup thing to that's all the gain I could possibly want to use in most situations, and there's still more in reserve. Each of those different modes and the channels have a really appropriate tonal profile. I think it's been EQ'd really well, considering you have a shared EQ to work with. In fact, maybe that's the secret sauce. Maybe there are just enough options, but not too many, that you start to push each sound into its own world. And I think it's really important to have that kind of cohesion between different sounds. And just to make that point as clearly as I possibly can, one more time, I'm going to go through all the 4 modes in succession quite quickly, just playing the same exact riff, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. It sounds like the same amp, and I can't stress enough how important I think that is to have that kind of singular identity in the way it feels. Let me try and illustrate that quickly. All 4 of those sounds are really usable to me, and again, I've still got the dynamic range of the guitar to play with. I think I've made my point, at least with what I want to get across with this amp. This is just a first impression, like I said before, first time plugging into it, and I very quickly managed to find sounds that I really like. Hopefully sound good to you too. You're hearing this, by the way, through a BadCat 2x12 cab, mic'd up with a 57 and a Royer R121. It's kind of just meat and potatoes kind of stuff, and that's exactly the way I like to approach guitar sounds, and that's exactly why I love what BadCat do. And this Mod Shop Hotcat 50 is a great example of exactly that, except there are even more options available. So if you're that kind of player that just wants something that feels really good, feels really consistent, and still gives you a lot of different options, maybe you play in cover bands, maybe you play function stuff, maybe you're a studio player, maybe you just like exploring different guitar sounds, but you like the familiarity of what feels good, this is a very strong contender for that. And coupled with a guitar like this, really, you are off to the races in terms of getting every guitar sound you could possibly want, at least from that kind of 60s through to the 80s era of guitar tones. I'm really smitten with that Channel 1 higher gain sound. It's got that kind of chimey BadCat AC style, mixed with a little bit more of a Marshall kind of heft to it because of the 50 watts, and I think it's EL34s in the power section of this. So I'm going to end this video with that sound once more. I hope that you've enjoyed this brief walkthrough of the Hotcat 50. It's an amp I really like. I hope you like it too. And if you want to find out even more about it, of course, head over to the Peach Guitars website. You can check out the listing there, and you can find out all you wish to know about it. It's also available in a combo format, if that's more your thing, a 1x12 combo. Or if you're really serious about this stuff, a 2x12 or even a 4x12 coupled with this delivers the goods. So, thank you very much for watching. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm going to play you out with probably my favourite sound on this amp. Thank you very much as always for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more from us in the future. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.